Welcome back to Collie Bliss Beauty podcast, where we empower existing and new beauty professionals in the industry on how to conquer their dreams. We share knowledge, inspiration from experts from all around the world. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. And also, if you're returning, don't forget to like our video. Today we have a very great guest. Her name is Joanna Biscette, and Joanna Biscette resides in St. Lucia, and also she's a citizen there, and she has a whole new take on menopausal health, okay, which is a milestone that majority of women will experience it at some point in their life. But also, Joanna's going to share more expertise around the subject because she has so much knowledge. So, welcome, Joanna. How are you today?
Hello, hello. I am doing well. Thank you for allowing me to join you on your podcast.
You're more than welcome. I'm just so happy that you could join and share this important subject because
Yes,
it has its pros and its cons, as I'm sure you're aware of. And
yes,
it'll be great for the beauty professionals to hear how they can manage it, especially working long shifts and
yes.
just generally, really.
Great, great.
So, can you tell us a little bit about what triggered you to even get in touch with this female health aspect?
Well, even before I knew what menopause was or having a name for it, my first encounter with menopause was with my granny. At home one day after school, I walked in and I saw her lying down on the floor. And I'm like, what are you doing on the floor? And she's like, I am so hot. That's the only place that is cool. And that's long before there was a name to what women were experiencing. And coming out of that experience in the world of work, I had women talking about hot flashes and having no one to talk to. And so, because I'm in HR, that is my predominant field, I was like, okay, if it is affecting a woman, that means it's affecting her at work. And so I need to now find out some more information. And so I started on the journey of researching and doing educational sessions and workshops, getting all of the information, and eventually being an advocate. And now I am a menopause coach. I am a certified menopause coach.
Wonderful. And you did say that your journey started off with discovering your gran, which must have been terrifying to see that she was just laying there,
Yes,
and
yes.
to the point where you went on to doing research. So, what was one thing that stood out to you in the research that you did? And was it more a Caribbean-based research or was it like international research?
I started with international research because that was what is available. And what I recognize in my research is that um, menopause affects women very differently, and especially women of color. So Black women, Asians, Latinos, we experience it very different. Our experiences are very different because our culture is different, our food is different, our environment is different. And so that was, very alarming for me in the beginning, but the reality is we are unique and every woman's experience is unique as well.
No, it really is. And I think it comes down as well to genetics,
Yes.
the actual the DNA makeup of our human existence as well. That's what can also possibly affect or make it unique why we go through certain symptoms compared to other people of
Yes.
different ethnic backgrounds.
Yes. Yes.
So we're just going to rewind, and if you can just explain what menopause is, because I know there's three main phases of it. So
Yeah. Yes. So the menopause is a consistent 12 months of not seeing your period. And before you get to the menopause, there is perimenopause. These are the years prior to becoming menopausal. And after menopause, there is postmenopause. So these are the three phases within the menopause cycle or realm or stage of our lives. And for women of color, um, it is seen that women start the perimenopausal phase early, and it can be as early as your late 20s, where you have the subtle signs that things are changing. But if you're not in tune with your body, you will not recognize it as symptoms related to perimenopause, right? And it can be from 5 years, 10 years. There are women that have been going through perimenopause for up to 17 years before menopause, when before the last, they have seen their cycle for 12 and 1 day, right? And
Wow.
that's when you can say you have you are menopaused.
So the earlier it starts, obviously the chances of that affecting your fertility window is massive because it would
Yes.
shorten that fertility window in a way if you do experience it in your late 20s compared to late 30s or mid 30s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Women can still get pregnant during the perimenopausal stage because you still get a period, right? It may not be regular, it may be very stagnated, but you can still get pregnant. However, after the menopause, when you are no longer producing eggs and your estrogen level has decreased, it has gone very, very low, that is when you will not have children.
Why, that's quite abrupt, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And what would be the common age ranges? I know you mentioned that it can happen earlier, but what was like the average rate, age range?
The average range is between 45 and 55. There are women who see 55, beyond 55, and they still have a menstrual cycle. However, that is the average age that women go through menopause.
It's so interesting because in school, I remember when they discussed the like sex education and they covered
Mhm.
a little bit about puberty. Those cycles in a woman's life later in life were never explained. Even later on in like college or, if you go to university, I feel like there should be something included that covers that so you're aware.
Yes, and your experience is the same experience that I had when I was growing up until I became well into my 40s. I never knew anything about menopause. And if I did not go and do the research, maybe I would not I have not known at all. And yes, and it is not only in the schools. I mean, there are medical professionals that will tell you there was during their time at medical school, there was not a focus on menopause. So it is something that we all need to be educated on. And I agree that now with all of the heightened focus on menopause and the menopause stage of our lives, the same way they teach about menstrual cycle and pregnancy, I think also it should be something that is brought to the attention, not just for women. And I know we're discussing menopause, but there is andropause as well. And it affects the men, similarly, not in the same abrupt way, but they too have their own hormonal depletion or that happens with them as well. And so I think there must be a concerted effort in sharing information about these phases of our lives and how it affects us both physically and emotionally, mentally as well.
And that can play a part in impacting relationships or,
Yes.
like you mentioned, your work ethic and concentration levels. We're going to go deep into that because I want to understand all the symptoms
Yes, yes.
to be aware. Also, What are the most misunderstood symptoms? Because I hear a lot, but what's true and what isn't?
Well, there are over 100 symptoms that is connected to menopause. And the thing is, it is so easily misdiagnosed because there are so many symptoms that are associated with menopause. And the reality is every woman is different. So the experiences that I may have may not necessarily be your experiences, Nicole, when you get to that stage and age of your life. But the most common symptoms that you hear people talk about is the hot flashes, is the night sweats, is the insomnia, is the body aches, locked shoulders. You get persons who were very slim and trim in their 20s and 30s, all of a sudden they are gaining weight, especially around the tummy area. You have women losing their hair, loss of the hair loss increases, and so many other things happening around that time. And even after the menopause, there are, women are more susceptible for getting cardiovascular issues, diabetes, and all of these other things that happen, around, the menopause. So many things are associated. But my plea to any woman who has been going through or seeing subtle changes in who they are, I think they need to have a conversation with their GP, their doctor. It's very, very important to have that conversation with them so that because some of the symptoms that you may experience you may think it's perimenopause, you may think it's menopause, but it can be linked to other things. So to be sure, have the conversation with the doctor.
Yeah, and I would suggest that generally we should be going for blood tests quite regularly,
Mhm.
if that's twice a year or once a year, because that will also flag up anything you're deficient in, and then
Yes,
you can put the right habits in place to increase it or and improve that. So would you
yes.
say that's important as well to go for regular health
Oh,
checkups?
definitely, definitely. Because especially when you're at that stage of your life, there are certain deficiencies that may come up in terms of your vitamin D, your magnesium, your calcium, your vitamin E. So there are so many things that can be happening at the same time, and that is all linked to, how you feel. So it is important that we do our regular checkups and not just for menopause, but our breast health,
Yeah.
for men for prostate and making sure that, these things are really at the forefront of everyone's minds to do those checks.
It's horrible when you see TikTok videos of women who are 35 and above and they're going through it and they just share a glimpse of what they're thinking and feeling. And it's almost like a very deep depression that they're
Yeah.
going through. Like the changes are very sudden and
Hmm.
your mind and your usual activities, it's like not connecting anymore.
Yes, yes, it
How
is.
bizarre is that? Like that actually scares me in a way, like because I'm used to staying fit, active, eating a balanced diet, and for all that to change suddenly, I can't imagine it for me, but for it to happen, like how is that even possible? Like how does the body do that?
Well, the thing, the hormonal changes. So your estrogen level, the reason that is happening, the estrogen levels are fluctuating throughout the perimenopausal stage. So estrogen is a very, very important part of our existence as women. So estrogen is basically the powerhouse or the power bank for our bodies, our brain, our who we are as women. And when there is the absence or it starts to disappear during the menopausal stage, that's when the chaos begins in our body. Our body is not used to not having it, and so all of the things that are happening that you're seeing on TikTok, these are the things that show up. The brain fog. You leave your bedroom to go to your kitchen to go and get some water, and you get to the kitchen and it's like, what did I go to get again? That's the brain fog. And you have women that are going to have extreme symptoms, and there are women who will tell you, what are you talking about? I just woke up one day and I don't have a period anymore. These are the lucky ones. But there are so many women that are experiencing, especially at the height of their careers, and this is happening. Up to yesterday, I was having a conversation with a colleague of mine, and she said, this is happening to me. I have a teenage daughter who's going through her own hormonal issues in terms of identifying who she is, what she wants, who's the little person growing up too, and trying to figure that out. And then you have an alien parent as well, that you have to be the caregiver for. So all of these things are happening all at the same time, and having some type of balance or some type of support system in place is very important to women. And that's where I come in to
Oh,
help support and guide you and give you the tools that you need to be able to navigate through the menopause um, uh, period of your life.
we'll be talking about more about your coaching packages at the end because I think it will be very helpful for not just women in your country, but also in the UK, where there's a massive Caribbean community. And yeah, many people will be interested in that as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
I'm just going to read through some biggest myths, the most common examples. So the first
Right.
one is menopause means you're old.
No, it doesn't.
It happens overnight.
No,
Nothing can help the symptoms.
that's not true.
HRT is dangerous for everyone.
That is absolutely not true.
Your sex life is over.
Definitely not.
Weight gain is unavoidable.
It can be avoided. All of the myths that are attached to menopause, I will say it cannot be substantiated that it is true, right? So menopause is not a sign of you being old. What is old? When I was growing up, um, my grandmother was when you heard of a grandmother and a great grandmother, you looked at somebody with a lot of gray hair and sitting at home taking care of the grandkids. Now, you cannot tell a grandmother from a mother or daughter. So it's not, to me, I don't think that menopause is a sign of old. I think it's a sign of you not being able to produce any more children. But I think it's the second part of the most important part of your existence on this earth. It is the time for you to shine and shine brighter than a diamond.
And not hide
So,
away like a lot of people
yes,
might prefer to do. It's important to still show up, be who you are, and kind of embrace the maturity level or stage you're entering because it is a different stage of life.
it isn't. It is a very different stage of life. And I think that is the time that you should live your best life. Your kids are all grown up. Um, Hopefully your mortgage is already paid off or close to being paid off. Now you're thinking about traveling the world or doing the thing that excites you, um, going and pursuing your passion and educating other people. There are so many things that can be done at that time of your life, because in the first part of your life you try to figure it out. You trying to have babies, you trying to get married, you trying to have a house, you're trying to make sure that you have all of that money that you need for pension, building up a career. There's so many things happening that you have to be juggling and struggling. by then, when you get to the point of your of menopause, this is the time for you to live and live your best life.
Oh, no, I really honor that, and I do think that's important. What tools would you say are available for women to monitor their symptoms when they reach that stage or prior during the premenopausal stage?
Well, I will say journaling is very, very important. And it doesn't have to be pen and paper. We have smartphones right now. You can be sitting anywhere and be journaling. You can recognize and being self-aware is very, very important. If you are not aware of who you are and what makes you who you are, you will not pick up the symptoms or see the slight changes that happen over time, right? So you are a woman who has had a very regular period, and all of a sudden it skips a month, it skips 2 months, it skips 3 months. If you are not aware of yourself, you would not know, hey, there's something happening there. And that's a sign of your estrogen and your progesterone. There is a leveling up, there is, a fluctuation in that. If you are somebody who normally sleeps throughout the night, you go to sleep at 10 o'clock in the night and you sleep straight through to 6 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden you are not able to sleep at 3 o'clock. You wake up and your eyes are wide open and you don't know why. Why am I up? Why can't I be asleep? That is a sign that something is happening there. You don't have an issue, you don't have any stressful, matter that you're dealing with that needs your attention, and you can't sleep on the weekend. Normally you sleep on a Sunday until 10 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden at 2 o'clock you're up and you up all day. That is something that you have to pay attention to. So you put it down, you journal it so that when you go to the doctor, you have information that you can share and say, these things were not happening before, and this is what I'm experiencing now. Can we find a way to know why?
Great tip. And that way you can track how often it's been occurring.
Yes,
And obviously, the GP can then determine the best diagnosis and, the right tests going forward.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's amazing advice. The second thing I wanted to ask you is because I know there's going to be many beauty professionals listening to this from all walks of beauty. So it could be massage therapists, nail technicians, etc. What treatments would you suggest could be helpful for someone going through any of the three stages of menopause?
Well, the thing is, I am not a medical doctor, and I don't want to put myself out there and feel that I am, because I am not. But I will say that women need to be take better care of themselves. Hydration, hydration, hydration. And hydration does not necessarily mean just water, right? Just plain old water. There are some people that don't like plain old water, but that does not mean that you cannot remain hydrated. So flavor the water,
Mm,
drink tea,
yeah.
right? Do iced tea without, you can do tea without using sugar. So sugar does not necessarily mean that it's our friend. There are persons who don't do coffee because it can be dehydrating. But however, there are other teas there, and in St. Lucia we have so many things that we can use for teas.
Ooh,
There's lemongrass. If you are somebody who likes aloes, you can put a little bit of aloe in that water. You can do lemons. You can cut up lemons and put in there cucumbers. You can flavor the water and have flavored water all day. I love tea. Even if you're having hot flashes, tea is actually a good thing for you to sip on during the day.
yeah.
Having hot tea as opposed to a cold drink is very good for women. Your vitamin E, your taking your supplements,
Okay.
making sure that you up on your supplements. Women around this stage and age of their lives need to take in things like zinc and magnesium and iron and calcium and vitamin A and vitamin B12 and vitamin 6, B6. Vitamin D is very, 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 very important. If
Yeah.
you can get it through the sun, then all power to you. But if you can't, do the supplements, especially in England, where you don't get the sun out all year round like I do.
Mm.
Your vitamin D supplements is very important for you to take. Omega 3s and,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, your ginseng for memory, your St. John's wort, evening primrose. There is something for everybody, but predominantly remain hydrated
Oh,
because hydration is good for your skin, it is good for your organs, it is good for your hair. Hydration, hydration, hydration. If you start with hydration, then the other things will come into play.
that's a great one. And also lifestyle support, because women can access menopausal coaches like yourself. But what
Yes.
other lifestyle support would be helpful?
Well, I will say if you are going through menopause, you mentioned one of the myths that is out there that HRT is not good for anyone, and that's not true. There are persons that are in my community that I am aware of who are on HRT for 7, 8 years, 17 years, and they are not going to stop. What was happening in the past is that there was a lot of synthetic HRT products out there, but now there's bioidentical HRT therapy that is out there. And again, that is a discussion between the individual and the doctor. Um, if that is something that can work for them. And there are many, many, many stories of women, having fatigue and insomnia and hot flashes, taking HRT, and it has worked for them. Other lifestyle things that we need to do, having proper routine for sleep. Sleep is very important.
Mhm.
Exercise. This is the time when you need your body to be able to carry itself. So not just cardio, but strength training is very, very, very important because we need to be able to carry our own weight. Yes. And it's also good for making sure that you don't get osteoporosis, breaking of the bones.
Oh, yeah.
Um, cardio has your cardio health is very important. Cardiovascular health is very important. You don't want to get heart attacks and strokes and stuff like that. So exercise, walking is a
Oh,
good way for full body um, um, exercise. You exercising every single part of your body. You're not even aware of it, but it is very, very good. 30 minutes a day is a very good start um, for you. And of course, food.
oh, yeah.
There are some people
Biggest
that are
medicine.
very there are some persons who have very, very good relationship with food, and there are some persons who have very, very bad relationships with food. Lots of whole food, um, as opposed to processed food, um, is advisable. And watching your the level of cholesterol and proteins and fats and all of that is very, very important. Eating moderately, eating very healthy is very important in especially at this stage of our lives.
And the final question I want to ask you is about working hours. Should women increase or decrease their working hours if their body does fluctuate and they don't feel like they can truly push themselves? What should they do?
Well, the thing is, it is very different in England as opposed to in the Caribbean. While we have that level of flexibility, um, in England, we don't have it here in the Caribbean. And all of the benefits and um things that are put in place for women over there. Unfortunately, we don't have it here. We don't have, if our symptoms are bad enough that we have to stay away from work, there is nothing to cover us for menopause,
Okay.
right? You cannot write a sick leave form and say menopause related symptoms.
Mm.
It will not be identified. There's no legislation that governs that for us in St. Lucia and even in the Caribbean, in the wider region. So it must be a conversation between the employer and the employee,
Yeah.
right? And having advocates in the workplace for menopause and andropause is very important. Understanding what the symptoms are and how you can assist, how you can be there as a support and a guide is very, very important um, to help women through that stage of their lives, especially when they're having the very bad symptoms.
Well, thank you, Joanna. I feel like I've learned so much from you in this past 30 minutes that we spent chatting.
Is
And it
it 30 minutes
really,
already?
nearly, but it's really going to help not just prepare myself, but everyone else listening on how they can survive through that time in their life and really embrace it in a naturally holistic way rather than fighting against it. So I really
Yes.
appreciate your time and your energy towards today's topic.
Thank you.
Where
Thank you.
where can our viewers find you on social media? And tell us a little bit about your coaching sessions.
Okay. You can reach me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Joanna Biscette. I know that you're from England and you said biscuit.
I'm sorry, I just realized it's a silent C.
Yes. So just my name, Joanna Biscette.
Sure.
And anybody can follow me. I have a private group on Facebook, so anybody who's interested can send me their information, and I will allow you to join. It's a space and place for persons to just get educated on menopause and andropause. I do both. I speak on both. I think it's very, very important, very similar symptoms. My coaching is more virtual, so anybody anywhere around the world can get access to me. Um, and you can WhatsApp me with my number, uh, and you can share that with your audience as well.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Yes. And my coaching sessions, we have an introductory time so you can understand what coaching is and what we are going to be working on because my responsibility as a coach is to be there as a guide and support you, identify what goals you want to meet and ask you the questions, sometimes the tough questions, um, and to guide you through your process and do it at bite-sized pieces, incremental changes through the process of dealing with your symptoms um, through menopause. So that is the whole purpose of making you feel comfortable, making you feel supported, being that listening ear throughout this, and giving you tools in order for you to be able to just be you, be your best self, and to be able to navigate through the menopause.
That's exactly what people need, especially because your methods are so culture centered as well, which is so special in its own right,
Yes,
because that forms part of our identity. So,
yes.
yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will be navigating towards you towards the end of this year and going through into 2026.
I would love to help every single person that I can help making that change and being able to support themselves through the menopause gives me great joy. It's so thrilling to see when I start with a client. In the beginning, they are very apprehensive of what it is that, what are we going to be doing? And halfway through, I'm seeing the change. One time I had this lady when she walked through my door, the glow on her face, I thought that you know, she had gone and done a facial, and it was just the incremental changes that happened throughout our sessions that made her who she is. And then we still are in contact. And I don't leave my clients even after we've completed our sessions together. I always do a check-in, and they will tell me if they want another check-in at some other point. So
Sounds
I don't leave them on their own, take their money and go. No, I'm there for them throughout the journey. And even if they need to, just do a check-in, I'm there to do that too.
it sounds transformational.
Yes.
Well, expect to hear from viewers through your Instagram channels and your Facebook channel as well.
Yes.
And we look forward to having you in the next episode, hopefully, to discuss andropause symptoms
Oh,
and how men can get
definitely.
through it too.
Definitely. I would love, love, love to talk about andropause because our men are important and it does affect who they are and the relationships that they have.
Thank you for your time today, Joanna.
You are very welcome, and thank you for allowing me to do this.